Everyone, this is Matt Heinrich with Affiliated Control Equipment. Today I want to make a quick video to review the functionality of Festo's E2M module. That's their energy efficiency module that's part of the MS6 family of air prep. I'm going to go over a little bit of the hardware as well as the software, which they use their Festo CPX maintenance tool for configuring. Let me start with some basics on where to find info on the website. So if you go to E2M on their website, there's a few different models available depending on what field bus. They do have Ethernet IP, Profinet, and EtherCAT available. If you need to get to the software, on any of Festo's pages, you'll see this download tab. And within that, they'll have some user documentation. If you want to get to the software for configuring the E2M, that's the Festo maintenance tool, just click on software here, download it for free right from this part. And now I'm going to review a little bit of the hardware that I've got behind me. Okay, so here's my test setup for the E2M. I've just got a compressor feeding a tank. That tank is feeding into my air prep here. I've got a digital pressure switch on the tank to monitor tank pressure, and then my power supply running 24 volts to the E2M. So these two pieces here actually make up the E2M module. I also added my own filter regulator to keep the air clean and then regulate it to a set pressure. The E2M consists of two different pieces. So it's a shutoff valve, which is this piece here, and a flow sensor, which is this piece. And then on the front here, this is the field bus node. This is the Ethernet IP field bus node, but you can connect to it via an Ethernet cable just to your computer to run it on the CPX Festo maintenance tool. Just for setting some parameters, you can force bits on and off just to test functionality, which is what I'm going to be doing in a second. On the front of the field bus node, you've got some dip switches for setting some different diagnosis features, and then this set of dip switches is for setting my IP address, which I just have to make sure that my computer matches up with. And then on the outlet of that, I've just got a simple hand valve that I'll be bringing over to my desk to open and close flow. I've got a flow control on there just so I've got a nice consistent flow to match up with the values that I'm predicting. And that's pretty much it. You can actually, it comes with a standard size of end cap, but it's an MS6 product, so you can swap that out to different NPT and G-thread connections depending on what you need. And now I'm going to go into the software, the maintenance tool, to show you how you can set different parameters and then kind of test some different functionality. The whole purpose of the E2M is to monitor flow after a certain point. You know, if you see zero flow, it'll actually shut off the valve to avoid leakage downstream, and then it'll monitor pressure downstream. So if you see a pressure drop, you know you've got excessive leaking. But the whole point of it is to really downsize the amount of leakage that you're getting out of a system. Machines, you know, whether your connections are super tight or not, they will leak a little bit, which you'll actually see with just a couple connections I have here with the valve. So it's monitoring that and sending some different status signals to let you know, maybe you need to check your connections and all that good stuff. So now I'm going to go into the software part of it. Okay, so now that we went over the hardware side, I'm going to go into the software, which again is the Festo CPX maintenance tool. When you launch the software, it's going to ask you, what would you like to do now? Generally, you'll just connect to an online valve terminal. CPX is the platform they use for connecting to multiple products. So in the valve terminal, I am connecting to the field bus node on my E2M. And I'll start there. It'll ask you to confirm the IP address, which I've already got set. And I finish up and connect. You'll see two different modules on here. One is the field bus node. You can double click into that. Look at your IP address, some diagnostic features, some basic information about the node itself, FB36, which again is Ethernet IP. I forgot to mention before, it is 2-port, so you can daisy chain Ethernet in and out. And the more important part for this discussion is the E2M energy efficiency module itself. So when I click into that, it launches you into parameters right away, and this is kind of the generic setup you get right off the bat. It's different monitoring statuses, monitoring startup time, kind of the different values that you want set. I'm going to use PSI for my pressure. I'll leave it at liters and liters per minute for consumption and flow. Pressure change sample time. This is basically saying, so after the valve closes, how often do I want to monitor pressure to see if there's been a pressure drop. I'm going to up that to something bigger, called 15 seconds. And then my upper limit pressure change, that's basically saying over this sample time of 15 seconds, what is the pressure change it wants to see in order to flag a diagnostic message. I'm going to drop that to something low, 0.5 psi, so I know I'm going to hit it. And then beneath that are the different function parameters. So your auto shutoff delay time, that's saying after so many units of time, in this case, set it for 1 minute. Beneath this auto shutoff low flow value, which I'm going to set at liters per minute. So if I go 1 minute without seeing 20 liters per, or 1 minute without seeing 20 liters per minute, I want to shut off the valve to prevent the downstream leakage. It's also got a recorder for how long the module has been operational, and then shut off valve cycles. So how many times has that valve shut on and off, which is something that you can reset. I'm going to apply those changes. And then I'm going to go over here to force mode. So because I'm not hooked up through a PLC, what this is looking for is basically just simulating my bits on and off. So I'm going to enable force mode. And the one that I really care about is module control. So I'm going to apply that. And then really quick, I'm going to jump over here to my web browser because I've got the operations manual for the E2M pulled up already, which again, you can get off the drop downs underneath the product page in the download section. So you can, there's a lot of information in here, kind of the different functionality, the logic behind it, terminology, and all that good stuff. I'm going to jump down here to output word AM0. So that's the output word that's doing module control. You can see here the different functions. Important to know, so this is binary, but the input to this word is hexadecimal. You can kind of see up here already that I have some converters up. I'm not good at doing binary to hexadecimal off the top of my head, so I use converters for that. And you can see the different functions here. So shut off valve controller. So if I go here, that's kind of just, excuse me, bit 0 is what it starts as. For auto blocking, I can go over here and it's looking for a 1. A 1 is 1 in hexadecimal as well. If I enter that, if you listen closely, you can hear by entering a value of 1, I manually close off the valve. So there will be no flow after. I've got my hand valve here. You can hear it releases the pressure that's built up in the line, but there's no flow coming out of the valve. So and you can actually see my pressure dropped to 0 right away. That's monitoring downstream pressure. So I do have a value of 0 once I release my trapped air. Next, what I can do is enter a value of 2. If I go back to my manual here, again, 2 is actually 2 is auto blocking, excuse me. So a value of 2. I'll close this. I'm going to reopen the valve, and now it's looking for flow. So I can open my valve, blow some air. You can see I peaked out at about 80 liters per minute there. I have no consumption because I haven't turned that part on yet. So now, based on the parameters I have set here, if I spend a whole minute at less than 20 liters per minute, you'll eventually hear the valve kick back off, and it'll stop downstream flow after that time just to prevent leakage. Now, let me go back to here to look at some of the other options. Next thing I want to look at is consumption measurement start and stop, and then the reset for it. Currently, if I go to this, you can see I have no consumption because I haven't turned that feature on yet. It is bit 12 for monitoring, which in hexadecimal, something like that, is 1000. I still want it to be on auto blocking mode, so you actually hear 1 minute has passed, so my valve is back off. So now, if I open my valve, and again release the pressure built up, open, close, no flow. What I'm going to do is actually reset that really quick. Immediately flow air. And if I go back into this, Do 1002. So I'm still on auto blocking mode, still looking at my thresholds for minimum flow over a certain period of time. But now it's also going to do flow consumption. So it's been less than a minute, so my valve is still open. If I flow a little bit of air, you can see it starts to track my consumption. And you can output it to a PLC if you want to know how much air a machine is going through. You can set up some data for that. So if I know one day I use this much air, but the next I used, significantly more, you kind of know that you may be starting to get some leaks across seals, stuff like that. And bit 13, which will make it 2000, is doing a reset, 2002, because I still want to be on auto blocking mode. I reset that consumption value. So I'm going to put this back to 1002. So I do want it to look at my consumption. I still want it to be in auto blocking mode. And now, after a minute passes, I will get a status change on this status, telling me that it's closing off the valve to prevent downstream leakage. And I'm going to wait for that to happen. Really quick, I'm going to go back here. So you can hear my valve kick off there. That status changes accordingly, and you can go into the operations manual and see what the different statuses and hexadecimal are referring to. 1021 is basically just telling me I'm monitoring consumption and the auto block has kicked on. So you can see, important here, I've already dropped about 2 psi over the span of 10 or 15 seconds, and you can see in this diagnosis, upper limit exceeded for input 3. Input 3 is, in my case, monitoring that pressure drop. So I know that I've got some leak, and it's just 1 or 2 connections on this valve, but I do get a little bit of leak because I didn't make them perfect connections. I want them to leak a little bit, so I would get this. So that's what that's doing. And then the other diagnosis function I wanted to show really quick is you can monitor your upper limit for pressure. By default, it's something in the 3000s. But I can set that just arbitrarily at 40 and immediately apply it. And now you see I've got another message for pressure, P2. So I've gone above my pressure limit. I'm at 45 psi now. I drop that. So I release the trap pressure. I immediately lose that. I'm at 0 psi, so I'm underneath the pressure value limit. This still thinks that I have had too much of a pressure drop. But now that I'm at 0 psi, if I wait 15 seconds or so, because that's what I had that set at for my pressure change sample time. So I'm at 0 psi. If I wait 15 seconds, it goes away because I'm at 0 15 seconds ago. I'm at 0 now, which is basically saying I have no pressure drop, and it's no longer a concern. I mean, it's still something you want to record in your PLC. But that's the basic functionality of the E2M. Really handy tool. Some customers have been transitioning to it for the big end users that want to monitor their air consumption. Air is pretty expensive, so I think it's a good tool to have. It's a good tool to incorporate in your existing air prep and over your existing field bus. If you have any questions or want to know more about the E2M, feel free to contact us at Affiliated Control Equipment, and we'd be happy to share more. Thanks. Bye.